Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap, an anti-corruption watchdog, has for years been trying to engage successive Nigerian governments over issues of bad governance and subsequent failure to improve the lives of millions of Nigerians using public funds. Throwing this path of due process through resort to the judiciary has been the organization's preferred mode of operation. For instance, Serap recently took President Muhammadu Buhari to court over his reluctance to interrogate humongous amounts of money declared unaccounted for in the health sector, as well as for a scheme being devised by his administration to borrow money from dormant bank accounts belonging to Nigerians. How successful has the organization been in this campaign for good governance? Joining us now to provide an answer to that question and a whole lot more is Adetokunbo Mumuni, a lawyer and executive director of Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project. Mumuni, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
It's good to have you again on the program. Very quickly, Serap has gone to court seeking an order of mandamus to compel President Buhari to probe the alleged missing, mismanaged 3.8 billion naira within the health sector, as reported by the Auditor General's report of 2018. Now, I had raised this question before, that if you look at that report, there are other sectors of the economy in which questions are raised. Take, for example, the Ministry of Environment that has not been able to account, as stated in that report, for about 54 vehicles, and so on and so forth in other sectors. But you singled out the health sector. Does the focus on the health sector have anything to do with the current campaign for and against the president's trip to the United Kingdom for a medical checkup? Is that the motivation?
Thank you very much. It is even unserious of the Nigerian government over the years not to be able to answer our health needs sincerely and focusedly. If all the monies that have been missing, that have been pilfered, that have been mismanaged all this while, have been put to good and effective use, at least our president should not be going out for treatment under any circumstance. The resources of Nigeria are so massive, are so enormous, such that if they are applied effectively and efficiently towards the needs of Nigerians, the question of our president going outside Nigeria for medical attention will not have arisen. We have experts, health experts. We should have sufficient health materials to deal with our health needs. And when monies get missing and uninvestigated, when resources assigned to health are not properly used as expected, then we should be asking questions. That is very, very important. We cannot pretend and say we want to be doing things in the same slipshod manner, and we are expecting different results. It's a manifestation of madness. We cannot continue to be like this and expect things to work in Nigeria. And that is why when funds are said to be missing in the health sector, we have to be serious as Nigerians. We have to be serious as NGOs. We have to be serious as governments to be able to probe into all these missing funds and demand for accountability and transparency.
What do you think leads to a situation whereby it takes Serap to launch this legal action? What do you think what can we attribute to the lack of diligence with regards to probing this missing funds? And let's not call that they didn't disappear. Why do you think that it took something like you instituting this action in the first case? I'd like you to answer that, because I actually find it quite baffling. Because all we ever hear is how there's revenue problems, there's a huge fight against anti-corruption, and that does not seem to be the case. That's my first question. And secondly, just to play devil's advocate purely, mind you, it's been argued by some of the president's spokespeople that the president has the right to seek medical treatment abroad because he's been using the same doctors for 40 years, and that is who he's accustomed to. How would you respond to that?
Taking the second question first, let me ask, for instance, under what circumstance will President Biden seek medical help outside America? Let me ask, for instance, under what circumstance will the Prime Minister of Britain seek medical help outside the United Kingdom? Let me ask, for instance, under what circumstance will the President of Germany or the Prime Minister of Germany seek medical help outside Germany? It is a manifestation of unseriousness in view of the enormous resources available, known all over the world with Nigeria, to say our president cannot meet its health need within Nigeria. And people are now saying, and the president minders are now saying he's been using those medical people for the past 40 years. Nobody does that. So we should be serious. We should be seen to be serious. And that is very, very important. You see, if health needs of Nigerians are being met, the ongoing strike of resident doctors in Nigeria will not, we have had those strikes many times over. Can't we for once do what is proper? Can't we for once do what will be in the interest of the Nigerian citizens? That is the question that Serap is simply calling for answers to. We cannot continue to do things in the same slipshod manner and be expecting to have different results. It will not work. It can never work.
All right, the first question. She asked you the first question.
Yes, please remind me of the first question, please.
Oh, I was asking you about what the motives are here, because I find it quite baffling, to be honest with you. Why is there such a lack of diligence with pursuing claims of missing money? Why does it take a legal action to compel the government to do such a thing, or to attempt to compel the government to, probe the missing funds?
You see, it is the manifestation, the consistent manifestation of lack of interest in successive governments to probe into matters of this nature, and that is the mandate that we have taken upon ourselves in Serap. Serap is socio-economic rights and accountability project. We deal with accountability issues. We deal with anti-corruption, and once issues are raised by bodies set up by government itself, what we are talking about is not what was discovered by Serap. It was the Auditor General or the people in the Accountant General that raised all these issues. So, if you don't want to probe into them, then let's cancel the office of the Accountant General. Let's cancel the office of the Auditor General, so that we'll leave things for the dogs, and we think that we don't have anything to probe into. So we cannot continue this way and we expect progress in Nigeria.
I mean,
that's the point we are making.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mumuni. I thought the ICPC would have swapped in once the Attorney General, Office of the Accountant General pointed it out. Yeah. And I thought the ICPC would have swapped in. So what has happened as regards this? I thought even EFCC will have looked at this critically and they would have followed the money trail. What has happened here?
You see, sometimes, let me make a guess of what we are used to in Nigeria. It is when the government wants to get at a particular person for their own benefit. That is when the ICPC takes an accountability issue and look at it seriously and effectively. It is when the government wants to get at a particular thing for their own benefit. That is when the ICPC takes an accountability issue.
Okay, just hold your thought. We'll come back to you. Answer after the break. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. Right, welcome back. We still have Adetokunbo Mumuni, a lawyer, executive director of Serap, is here with us, and we're talking about corruption issues and sundry issues around corruption. So I was asking that somebody will have thought by now that the ICPC will have swept in. Once they had smelt the blood, they will have gone in like sharks, really. Once the Accountant General had said, oh, 3.8 billion, I thought that would have just been blood for the ICPC, and they will have gone in like sharks and just said, okay, we're going to investigate this and find this till the very end. But we didn't hear anything. It took you guys to tell the federal court to take the government to court for this to come out.
You see, the ability of the ICPC or EFCC to look into accountability issues seriously, effectively, and efficiently would depend on the mood of the government of the times or the government of the day. That is what we have observed over the years when you look at the trajectory of various governments that are taking over Nigeria, the political space. So when the government wants to pursue accountability issues and matters seriously, the anti-corruption agency will have taken a cue from the body language of the government. Once the government gives the inclination that whatever you found that is worrisome on anti-corruption issues or accountability matters, take it up. We are not interested. Just pursue it to the logical conclusion. The ICPC and the EFCC will do its work effectively and efficiently. It is when they want to pursue a matter, depending on who is involved, and they now see the body language of the people in government as defensive of the person they want to go against, that is when they have problems. Once there is nobody that is intending to defend any alleged culprit, then these anti-corruption agencies will do their work effectively and efficiently.
Well, Mumuni, let me ask you very quickly. In the introduction, there was a question that we raised, which is about how successful have you been, that is Serap, in this campaign of getting to ensure that government is held accountable. I know you have many cases in court, one after the other. Can you give us a sense of how much progress you've been able to make and whether, there's been significant impact in terms of response to some of those victories that you won in court?
Thank you very much. Let me say straight away that the fact that Serap exists, the fact that Serap is alive to its mandate, puts whoever is in government on his toes. You see, as a matter of fact, I won't have to mention names of government officials that say they are not averse to what Serap is all about. That is almost taken for granted by them. But it is not for us to start saying this how far we have been successful. It is for the Nigerian public to measure the effectiveness or the level of success of Serap. Once we are in it, we are in it. And once we say we want to pursue issues, we pursue it within the ambits imposed by law. We cannot call on the people to start doing civil disobedience. That is unloyalty. We won't do that. We will continue to do this advocacy, this calling of Nigerians to see what is going on in Nigeria. That is what we are about. And if Nigerians think Serap is doing effective work, then we are satisfied. It is when Nigerian people don't see how effective we are, then we will start having doubts about our capability or our ability.
Well, our previous guest is a doctor, and we discussed the lack of appreciation shown to that noble profession. You are highlighting the lack of appreciation shown to another noble profession, and that's of judges. Tell us about your campaign for increased pay for judges.
You see, if you say that you have appointed somebody to do the work of more or less God on the surface of the earth in the Nigerian political and economic environment, then since this God that you have created, the judiciary, will not speak for itself, will not do anything, you don't expect the God that you have created to do certain things itself. You have to be able to take care of the needs, sincere needs of that God that you have created. That is the point that must be made, and that is the point you are making clearly. If you say a judge should not be corrupt, if you say judges should not be corrupt, then you have to take care of the needs of the judge and members of his family so that they will be able to live sincerely decent life. That is very, very fundamental in the discourse that we are talking about. If you say judges must not collect bribe, then the wherewithal for the judges not to be corrupt, you have to provide it. And Nigerian constitution and laws make provisions all over for this type of situation to arise. It is the political will of those in the political space, those in government, that would determine whether the Nigerian judges will act true to type.
I just want to ask you about your partnerships with very key organizations. The ones like I talked about before, the EFCC, the ICPC, other socioeconomic groups who like Follow the Money and the likes. I want to ask your partnerships as regards ensuring that we deepen this conversation against theft in government. How is that going? 2, do you get concrete facts? I mean very concrete facts. And this was the question I asked the rep from Follow the Money when he came the other day, that a case like this, I want to see trails. Just like Mr. what's his name now, I forget, Johnson was so very accurate when it came to the Niger Delta NDDC case. And he was telling you days of bank transactions where the money did go. Mm-hmm. Do you do that investigative work? Do you go one step further?
Thank you. You see, what we do in Serap or at Serap is to look at issues more globally and bring the minds of the anti-corruption agencies of government or the mind of government to look at that matter closely. So once we do that and they are able to examine and investigate such issues without fear or favor, affection or ill will, we are okay. It's not as if we intend any special accolade from anybody. What we want is the health of the Nigerian nation, economically and socially, so that it will impact positively on the life of average Nigerians. When corruption is taken out of the whole system, we believe that Nigerians are on the path to El Dorado. That is our sincere opinion, and that is what we want to achieve, given the level of resources available to the Nigerian nation. Nigeria as a nation, Nigerian people as a people, have no business with poverty. Poverty should not be anywhere in Nigeria. But the way people in government have consistently dealt with Nigerians is as if we don't have resources. I say that we have abundant resources if they are properly managed and if the government does its work as expected, Nigerians will not have any business dealing with poverty, talking about poverty.
Mumuni, could you please give us an update on two of the recent cases that you filed at the Federal High Court, Abuja? The one relating to the 3.8 billion naira in the health sector, and the second one in which Serap is opposing the plan by the federal government to borrow from unclaimed dividends, in the banks belonging to Nigerians, up to about over 800 billion naira.
Thank you very much. You know, the way the court works, we have filed it. We are awaiting those two matters. We are awaiting the day when the court will say hearing of the matter will start. We are sure about that. Now, you see, when anti-corruption issues are being dealt with, it is indeed true that, as expected of the judiciary, it must be dealt with promptly and effectively. But we are in this race. It's a marathon because the Nigerian situation had over the years degenerated so dangerously in a negative form. So we should also expect to have a breadth of long marathoner life, and that is the way we intend to pursue it. We will get there, and we are sure that we'll get there, and we intend to apply all that is within our capacity legally to achieve what we deserve for the Nigerian nation.
Well, Twitter has opened its first office in Africa, in Ghana. That was their choice. And they paid such glowing commendation to Ghana as this bastion of democracy, free speech. Well, I read it as an indictment on Nigeria. What is your comment on that?
Let me say that whether you are doing well as a nation or as a country, people are watching. And when what you do indeed appeals to people, you will be commended. That the Ghanaians are being commended is a manifestation of the seriousness with which they take issues relating to their countries. Is the manifestation of the seriousness with which the government of the day in Ghana takes issues concerning the citizens. I will plead with the Nigerian government to look at Nigerian issues socio-economically and politically with a more sincere disposition, so that people of the world will also join us in celebration, if indeed we want to celebrate.
Okay, real quick, before we go on a break, there are some things, some cases that have been investigated by government authorities like ICPC that we've heard nothing about. Is it in Serap's purview to still push those cases out there? And I'll give you the instance. Was the money, the constituency projects scandal that happened, that ICPC came out, they said they've got glowing facts everywhere as regards constituency project, and people that, use the money for personal benefit or still bought some of those items and kept it to themselves. Isn't Sarah saying anything about that? Because ICPC have investigated, that's all we've heard. We've not seen people prosecuted and the likes.
You see,
I'll be after the break, please. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Morning Show right here on the Rise channel, news channel. We have Adetokunbo Mumuni, lawyer and executive director of Serap. And I was talking about a couple of cases because you said Serap is just here to shine the light, get government agencies to investigate these cases. Yeah, but some of these cases get investigated by the government agency, like what I talked about earlier by ICPC, doing great extensive work on constituency projects. And they have made many shocking revelations. In fact, they said that was the phase 1, but we've not heard phase 2 since then. So are you going to shine the light on this? People have not been prosecuted. I mean, the ICPC came out to say they had facts that they saw some items that were supposed to be distributed as constituency project materials in the houses of these politicians, but nothing has been done, not taken to court or anything.
Good. ICPC is a government establishment. Now, the only way the government can cover up anything once it gets to public layer is for the Nigerian people to be complicit with the government in attempting to cover it up. You see, we have to consistently and with persistence ask that proper things must be done. The proper things to be done is according to the mandate of the ICPC. It is not enough to investigate. ICPC, for instance, has prosecutorial powers. So let the ICPC now start the prosecution of those that are involved in the constituency project scam. Then we will be making progress. If Nigerians demand that those that are involved in such scams be prosecuted, there is nothing this government can do but to prosecute, and to prosecute effectively. That is so much important. So Nigerians who will do our own bit as an anti-corruption organization. But Nigerians must also demand, because Nigerians, this is a democracy. Nigerians are the people that put the government in power, in position. So whatever Nigeria wants must be done if Nigerians take it more seriously. The Nigerians protested anti-SARS and anti-whatever. It reverberated all over, and the government is trying to meet the demands of Nigerians. There is no demand that Nigerians will make on government, since it's a democratic government, that will not have the light of the day. It is when Nigerians don't get serious about it that the government can start hiding. When Nigerians says there is no room to hide, the government must, of course, listen. That is very important.
Great pleasure to have you again on the morning show. We thank you very much.